All right, big props. Big shout out to those over at A More Perfect Union for that segment. I love shining a light on those type of topics because, again, the more you guys know that you're getting screwed, the more likely you are to finally do something about it. All right, folks. I know we talked about a lot of heavy topics this show, going back to the war funding and into homelessness. But for once, we got some good news.
There is a light for the blind man, a sound for deaf ears. This riches for forgotten souls that have nothing left to give. There is freedom from bondage for those who can't break free. This is the gospel of Jesus, and it's good news. Let us remember we have good news. We won't hide it in the shadows. We will light up the truth. Tell everybody what he's done for you. Shout it from the rooftops. We got good news.
Yes, we've got good news, folks, out of Tennessee, of all places.
What changed the most is everybody started seeing what we could get when the big three went on strike. And they said, wait, hold on. If they can get all this, we should too. We do the same job, just in a different location.
It's the greatest feeling that I felt like in 13 years. Okay? This is wonderful.
Well, I just think it's the reality where we are and the times we're in. Workers are fed up in this country. They're fed up with being left behind. And obviously, with our win in Big Three bargaining, I think that really motivated a lot of workers to realize there's better for them. All we've heard for years is we can't win here. You can't do this in the South. And you can. Workers can do it.
Yes. The UAW, the United Auto Workers, have levied a big, huge victory at Volkswagen in Tennessee, of all places, the South. This is the first victory at a foreign-owned factory in the American South. Never happened. Thanks to our friends from the conversation for this. A decisive majority of Volkswagen workers employed at a factory in Chattanooga, Tennessee, cast their ballots in favor of joining the United Auto Workers Union. The German automaker announced on April 19, 2024. Persuading any Southern auto workers to join a union had long been one of the U.S. labor movement's most enduring challenges, despite persistent efforts by the UAW to organize this workforce. Now, to be sure, the UAW already has members employed by Ford and General Motors at facilities in Kentucky, Texas, Missouri, and Mississippi. However, the union had previously tried and largely failed to organize workers at foreign-owned companies, including Volkswagen and Nissan, in the southern states, where about 30% of all U.S. automotive jobs are located. It was the UAW's third election at the same factory since 2014. The prior two ended in narrow losses. The victory follows the UAW's most successful strike in a generation against Detroit's big three automakers, through which it won higher pay and better benefits for its members in 2023. Volkswagen said it will await certification of the results by the National Labor Relations Board, the federal agency responsible for enforcing U.S. workers' rights to organize. and as long as neither side challenges the results within 5 business days, the NLRB will certify them, greenlighting the start of bargaining over a contract. Wow. The union has already scheduled another election that will occur in less than a month after this Volkswagen vote. More than 5,000 workers at the Mercedes-Benz plant in Vance, Alabama will have their say on whether to join the UAW in a vote that will run May 13th through 17th, 2024. So, you know, no matter how much the type of heavy stuff we talk about here on the show, there are always good things going on. And especially recently when it comes to American workers. You know, I just finished talking about earlier how American wages have been so diminished since the 1970s, you know, thanks to the sort of neoliberal economics that came from people like Reagan and Bush and those types of people. But now we are seeing these sort of fighting back. We're seeing the public, after 40 years of being beaten down, have seen the public fighting back and are demanding more labor rights. And, you know, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Joe Biden or the Biden administration, and especially their foreign policy. But when it comes to their NLRB and FCC and FTC and these types of things domestically, they have been the best in my lifetime thus far. So, like I said, I give credit where credit is due. I give credit where credit is due. That's what I do. But anyway, apparently you guys are blowing up the phones. Let me get this. Hello, caller.
Okay, Scott.
What's up?
The labor board that you just spoke of.
The NLRB.
Scott, that thing is nothing but a piece of mess and a piece of junk.
Okay, that's your opinion.
No, that's not my opinion because I've been in the court with them. That's not my opinion. I'm telling you,
okay.
God, give them. Huh?
Well, most American workers don't agree.
But I'm telling you what I had to do.
Okay.
And I'm telling you what most Americans are agreeing on. They never had to go to the federal courts in front of a federal judge with 2 federal lawyers.
Okay. Tell us about it.
Huh?
Tell us about it.
Well, if you stop disagreeing with me, I can help you out a whole lot, baby.
All right, now.
What happened, I went to the labor board. I filed my grievance with the labor board. The union was backing up the company. Don't ask me why U.S. Steel, our union, out there backed up the company. I don't know why. Well, I let the labor board just do what a little due diligence you have to do, which was nothing. And Lord, a guy called me out of Chicago, Scott Fannin. You know how when we got in front of that federal jury, you know how quick Scott Fannin, how Scott Fannin won that case very quickly? The federal judge went total, but see, the labor board don't have no power. You know who got all the power?
Who?
That federal judge over there out of the federal court. That's who got all power. The labor board's nothing but a piece of junk. I'll put it like this. The labor board, all the labor board do is just sit down and lick out the bowl. That federal judge say, look, you're going to do it this way, and this is the only way it's going to be. Scott, that trial lasts about, Cleveland, do you want to go back to work, or do you want to retire with your back pay or go back to work with your back pay? That's how long that trial lasts. Wasn't no discussion or nothing. And Scott Fannin, all he had me do is just don't stay quiet. So I'm telling you, the labor board is nothing. And the labor board, look, the federal jury wouldn't even, look, when you go in front of that federal jury, the labor board is nothing but just like a little lapdog. The federal jury's got all powers in his hand. I don't care what the labor board say. He's nothing. It's a piece of junk.
Okay.
But the federal jury's got all power. The federal judge can say, you go to penitentiary. Not you. I'm not going to say that you because I've been talking about you. The federal judge can say, penitentiary is doing time for your messed up with this federal courts. Federal judge said you go free. That man got all powers in his hand in the federal building. You hear me?
I heard that.
So the labor board is just nothing but a piece of mess, junk. Okay, good man. I'll let you know.
All right. I will say that, again, it depends on the administration that you're dealing with. It depends on the judges that you're dealing with, which is appointed by the administration. So, I mean, it's not just necessarily, it's not the board itself. It's the apparatus around the board. And like I said, it seemed to be a lot different they're functioning a lot differently than they have, which is why you've seen so many labor victories for American workers over the last 2 or 3 years. But let me get this other caller. Hello, caller.
How's it going, Scott?
It's all good, brother.
You know, I wish, well, I'm kind of glad I called behind him. I wish I would have called before him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if he act anything like he act around here, man, no wonder they treated him like they did. Now, I'm going to tell you something, son.
Mm-hmm.
Our people that sit on the union board of 1066, 1014, and the UAW, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Never had a problem. I love them, okay? Now, let me tell you something, son. You know, you were talking earlier, we're going to peel this on your back right quick, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you were talking earlier, and, you know, I'm no fan of the president over there in Israel.
I'm not.
Not at all. But Israel is the front door to the Middle East for this country. That's why I treat it like that. Now, hold on. Now, you can say what you want to say. I never seen a Palestinian or an Arab holler for your reparation. Hold on.
That's not true.
Now, people, wait.
Okay.
You telling me, and you 40 years old, and you telling me what you telling me, and I'm telling you, and I'm older than you. Okay? All right, now I got a skin in the game, and I know how the game was, all right? Now, you telling me what, now I'm going to say the word wrong, and you're going to correct me, whatever the Al-Jazeera media is, you know what I'm talking about.
Al Jazeera, come on, Al Jazeera.
No, before you had denied it when I put you on the spot about it, and you said you never listened to it.
No, I said I listen to everybody. I listen to everything. I'm a news aggregator because the corporate media in this country is owned by billionaires who hate the working class.
Okay, let me say I listen to everybody too. Also, I put my ear on the ground and listen for Buffalo. Okay? I listen to everybody. All right. I put my ear to the ground and listen for Buffalo. All right. That's why I listen to everybody. All right, son. Now, let me tell you this right quick, okay? Now, when you say Israel is the front door. Israel give us technology, okay? Israel has one of the highest, like the CIA. They have something that's more higher than the CIA and Interpol. They interact together, okay? Now, that's what a different terrorist, okay? Now, when you say Taiwan, right? Taiwan is the chip manufacturer of the world almost, okay? Mm-hmm. You say the other one that you said is Ukraine, right?
Yeah, we send money to Ukraine.
Okay, Ukraine give off minerals and other things. Now, what it does in the not the electronic, but the energy world, okay? Now, the energy that it gives off over there is nuclear energy to Europe, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, it does that, and it holds other minerals that is very vital to this country, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, when you go, now, wait a minute. Now, when you set the table up, somebody call in and they don't know, and you put out food on that table that wasn't true. Now, you set the table for this. Now, when you talk about China, when you talk about North Korea, and when you talk about Russia and Iran, you know what those countries do? They're trying to set up for World War III. That's what they want to do. Wait a minute now. Let me finish. Putin said this. Putin said, I think you might want to rethink this because he want to break out nuclear weapons. This country was never talking about nuclear weapons. You know why he wanted to do that?
We're the only country to ever use nuclear weapons. You know that, right?
Yeah, we was the only country to use nuclear weapons. That was in World War II, okay? Yes. You don't have to give me a history lesson on that. I know about that. But they did that to quicken the war instead of more persons dying in the war, okay?
Oh,
now,
God.
I had people in my family. No, wait a minute. God. Now, hold on now. When they bombed Pearl Harbor, did they think about playing fair then?
The U.S. knew that Pearl Harbor was going to happen and let it happen, so they'd have an excuse. So they'd have an excuse to enter World War II.
You talking about happenstance stuff that you done seen in movies and have read in books. Don't do that, man. When you do that, you
don't read books.
Yourself.
Are we saying don't read books now? Is that the stance?
I never said don't read books. I got a library. Do you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, then. So don't go putting those expressions talking about. I say don't read books. You can read Dick and Jane, and you can read clear up to Tom Sawyer to Moby Dick, okay? And you can read other literature, okay? I never said you can read comic books. You know, I got comic books, okay? So you can read whatever you want to read. I didn't say that. But you cannot put out that type of information.
The truth?
The truth? Homeless. Now, would you want somebody at your mama's house in your house urinating? And
they're not in their house. They're in public places. They're in public places. That's what the lawsuit's about. Can they be in public places that are not owned by anybody particularly?
Listen, when you go to Chicago, okay, and when you be on Lakeshore Drive, better known as a Disciple Drive now, right? You see people with tents. I passed by there. I thought they were having a picnic, right? Here's a guy got tents. I see an encampment, right? Now, this encampment got people outside there with laundry hanging up. I seen a man with underwear and socks. I seen somebody else had a flag flying. I was like, what's this? I said, this ain't no picnic. This is people sleeping out. I seen a guy with bikes. Now, in them camps, what do you think be happening in them camps at night?
All kinds of stuff.
All right, then. Them camps are unsafe for citizens that pay taxes. For them people to get their little change that they get, they pay taxes. For them people. Now, don't go telling me about veterans out there. They had a place for them. They don't want to follow orders. They want to come in there with alcohol. They want to come in there with other things. They want to do what they want to do, so that's why they stay on the outside. They can't follow general orders. That's what that's all about.
But a lot of those people have been messed up by America's, once again, endless wars that that this country continues to wage around the world.
Listen, I know people that pull themselves up out of that type of mess, all right? Now, I don't want to get off into the particulars,
but that's not everybody.
I know people that pull themselves up out of that, okay? And they pull themselves up out of that and never went back and are successful. So don't go telling me that if somebody got whatever type of drug they want to use, that they are dependent on that drug and can't pull themselves out of that predicament because they don't want to not go to the liquor store or whatever, okay? Or if they want to do other things that they're not supposed to be doing and follow general orders. You can't drink in here. I think that they should take a drop test to live in public housing like that, okay? But they don't do that. They say just don't drink inside of these confines here, okay? So when we put out that type of information, now just because they gave, who was that, Ukraine, 60 bills, right? They gave them 60 bills. They gave Taiwan 8 bills. And then you break it down, they gave the other person, I don't know how much they gave them, whatever changed. Now that's 95, what? That's 95, billion dollars, right? 95.5 bill, right? That's almost $1 trillion. Yeah, I could do the math. We could crunch the numbers all day, son.
Right.
But don't put out that type of information.
You mean the truth. But thank you for your call. I got to go to another caller. Hello, caller. Hello, caller.
Well, hey, Scott.
What's up?
Well, good evening.
It's all good, brother.
Yeah. You know, hey, I got some real estate I could sell you on the moon someday. But hey, the interesting thing, right? America had developed the first middle class in the world.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
We're living off the remnants of the middle class that was created.
Mm-hmm.
And so labor now, organized labor is about 11%, which does not even cut any ice. So we can really make all the hyperboles we want to, but in reality, who owns the lion's share of our economy but Wall Street?
Yep.
And who banks them but the Fed?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a Supreme Court that protects all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, we have unalienable rights, of course. Right? What does that mean? Nobody can take them away.
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything now.
That was a joke, okay? That was supposed to be a joke. You're supposed to get the joke, okay? If you know, I'll tell you one historical fact. It was called the Council of Nicaea, and 325 years after the crucifixion of Jesus. You should look it up. You should look it up sometime just for giggles and laughs,
right? And
find out what that is, what that council was really about, and what it did. Thereafterwards, became a word called a heretic, and by law, heretics were allowed to kill. That's in the world. That's in the Christian world, from the 5th century all the way up until the 16th century. And when you if you want to really think about the African slave trade, the Atlantic African slave trade, you have to understand that started right after, probably about 50 years after the fall of Byzantium. What's the reality of that? Byzantium was a place where the international slave trades were. And, of course, Caucasian people were part of that slave market, right? I mean merchandise.
The Slavic people.
And European people, Croatian, people from the Caucasus. They were famous for their beauty, and they were high. Anyway, that was a slave market until the 14th century, when the Ottoman Empire overcame the Eastern Christian Empire, and that's when about 80 years after that, when the Atlantic slave trade starts. Okay, and in 1550 is when the Protestant Revolution happened, and all of a sudden the Christian world was divided not into two, which it was the Eastern Orthodox and the Roman Catholic. Well, now it's three. It's the Protestants and the two Catholics. Now Christianity has a real boner with the world, right? And now heretics they're bait to kill. You can report somebody as a heretic, and how they prove they're not, it's almost impossible. And so what was that kind of condition? Now we happen to live in a world that wants to use religion, Christianity, as our focal point, where that gives our morality. That gives our position to argue our battles and wars from. Now, when you talk about Iraq is where Mesopotamia was, right? That's the founding Western civilization. We treat them like shepherds that we don't like. And now, imagine in Iraq, women and children were killed there by our bombs, our tax dollars, in the hundreds of thousands. And that should be our sin we have to beg forgiveness for. Not, let's go to war somewhere else. Now, we come here and we have a president like Mr. Trump, who I think the last caller was a Trump guy, but Republicans are listening to this guy talking about revolting against the American government, opening elections, perpetuating what you could call white supremacy, and those are the Republican guys that want to take over our country. How's that sound?
I don't know, brother. You get the last word, because I got to get up out of here. But thank you for your call.
A bad steward of me.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. Now, I tell you. Anyway, right.
I gotta get ready. I gotta wrap up. But thank you for your call, brother. Call back anytime. All right.